Customer Commerce Podcast, where technology's fast and biz is a blast.
In life and in business, time is precious. It's why customers stay or leave and why businesses succeed or fail. We're here to give a voice to everything that makes business, whether as a customer or as a CEO, easier and more rewarding. Welcome to the Customer Commerce Podcast. Let's dive in. Welcome, everyone, to the Customer Commerce Podcast. This is episode 22. What's
22.
the saying? 22. What do they say in bingo? Legs 22? No, that's legs 11.
I have no idea. Bingo is not amongst my lifestyle skill sets, I have to say.
I'll have to ask my grandma.
Yes.
But
They
nonetheless,
don't play bingo anymore. They must play bingo.
of course.
Bingo
will
World
never go out of
Championships.
style. Yeah.
I got to look this up. The Bingo World Championships. Yep, there you go. The Bingo World Championship Tournament is going to be between October 27 and November 3rd, 2024. Oh my gosh, it just happened.
Oh, what a bummer. We didn't make it.
Maybe
next
we can
year.
buy
It's a
tickets
World
for
Championship
maybe we can buy
Bingo
tickets for
Gaming
next-
Cruise.
Maybe we can buy tickets for next year's event.
36 years of the Bingo Cruise experience, 2024 cruise brochure. So you get to go on a cruise and it's the Bingo World Tour all at once. I mean, if that doesn't reek of perfect positioning of cross-selling, I don't know what is. So they get on from New York and you sail to Bermuda on a cruise ship, and at the same time you play the Bingo World Championships. So, my
Heaven.
gosh.
I have one
sounds
question,
like-
though. If they're going to Bermuda, are they going to the Bermuda Triangle? In which case, we're never going to hear from any of them ever again. I mean,
Yeah, that's
But
Yeah.
if bingo was played in the Bermuda Triangle, was it actually ever played? You know, this is
that's
a...
a very,
Oh,
very
no,
good
we're
point.
getting too deep. We're getting into the
Oh no,
podcast.
But I love the positioning. You know, someone knows this. This is a classic example of customer comments, right? Someone knows their target market, right? So
True.
they're after people that are playing bingo, and that Venn diagram, that circle of people, also covers a circle of people that like going on cruises. And right in the middle are people that are going to be willing to pay for both. Because I think traditionally, bingo is not, let's call it, a high money sport. Like, you're not having Nike, although that would be freaking awesome. Could you imagine Nike doing Just Do It with a bingo ad? Like this 80-year-old sitting there with a Nike hat, Nike shoes, the whole lot. And then someone goes out, 43. And there's this slow-mo shot of the pen going, boom. And then them going, yeah. And then just do it.
I like it.
Wow. We'll have to we'll have to copyright that.
So I'm just saying here, Nike, if you want to use it, totally free. I'm not going to claim anything. That is just, I would love to see that. Please go ahead.
That would
Well,
be epic.
that dovetails in terms of the stunt aspect. That the latest installment of the next Mission Impossible, the trailer went live
Just
22
launched,
hours ago, and it's already at 15 million views on YouTube.
I know, it's crazy. You know the thing I love about that trailer, though? Oh my God, color in movies is back. Like, if you, Tom's done an incredible job on this. Like, if you look at
The yellow
the
planes.
last 5 or 10 years of movies, you would have noticed that all of the color saturations coming out of them, like with grays and blues and all of this sort of stuff. You watch that trailer and there are scenes where everything is vivid red and vivid blue and vivid green and vivid yellow, right? And it's like in your face.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that he said on an interview somewhere is he watches an old movie every day. Like, that's his training.
Yeah.
Which is just
Wow.
incredible.
Well, I think he single-handedly owns. Audiences want to go to the theaters with those movies, because I think the desire. So few movies make you want to go. I'll wait till it comes up on whatever, right? But Mission Impossible is like that. I think he pretty much owns that. It's like, I see that. I can't wait to see it in a theater. I mean,
Yeah.
And what great timing doing it 2 days after the election. I mean, someone really thought that
people
through
can
as well.
focus. People can focus.
Yeah, people can refocus on something that's not, oh my God.
God.
It's like, yeah. So Anyway, so yeah, there we go. We're 10 minutes into the podcast. We haven't even started on what we were actually going to talk about today.
We're going to get back to our trending topics. We've got the yays and yikes of e-commerce and commerce, all the things in business and what's going on. And we're going to discuss about a few. So the first one that I have is a yikes to do with J.Crew's mobile app issues. So this is a business that was struggling with their online website. They had reportedly, this is through a Reddit chain, they had broken links, distorted images, navigational issues, inaccessibility of past orders. And we're not going to focus on that brand specifically because I'm sure, Michael, you've seen this with other brands and we all have. We've all experienced it. So I thought we'd touch on this.
This stuff is hard. So I think one of the things to bear in mind with anything online is there's probably 30 to 40 computers between your mobile phone and the website that you're talking to. And when you start thinking that and understanding the path that a packet takes, there's lots of opportunities for things to go wrong. And then on top of that, you have a few, I don't know, let's call it 1,000 different possible aspect ratios on your phone, like the size of the phone and the layout and the power of the phone and everything else. Back when I was a lad, when we were doing website design, there was one window size. It was either 800 by 600, or if you were really, really swanky, you had a 1024 monitor. And I mean, if you want to freak yourself out, go Google an image that's 1,024 pixels across by 768 deep. And that on your screen would probably be about this big. And that was the size of all of the monitors. That was a big monitor. And then 640 by 480 pixels were the first lot. I mean, I started much earlier on that, and we had a 80 character just text display when I was getting going. But my point is, not to go down memory lane, my point is that as the years have gone on, the number of browsers that you have to target to make sure that your website looks good is just going up and up and up and up and up and up and up. And that's why it actually takes, I would argue it takes longer now to build a website than it did 10 years ago. Even though we have all of this tooling and all of this capability, it's actually more expensive to build a website now than, I think, a good one. And what I mean by that is it's more expensive to build the quality of website that people are going to expect to land on now than it was 10 years ago, because the expectation level is a lot higher of what a good website is. And 10 years ago, I mean, if the thing just rendered and you could find what you're looking for somehow, it was like, we're good, right? True. Now, if it doesn't have swipe in modals and backs and smooth scrolling and images, it's just a pain in the ass. So I don't know. This report, I think it's a one-off. I'm sure J.Crew have got their stuff together on this, but it just shows how hard it is, even for a brand that, arguably has money to get this right. So, yeah, there's a lot of things that can cause a website to go down. Does it mean that they shouldn't be testing it more? No, that's not my point. I'm just saying I can understand, but it sucks. And it just points to how complex the modern internet is. It's compared to what it used to be. It was so much easier previously, but it wasn't as capable. So there you go. There's the trade-offs.
You've just given me a very, very good response. If I ever go out to a restaurant and it's one of these restaurants where they bring me a very large plate with a very small bit of food in the middle of it, like they do, and I'll say, "Excuse me, I didn't ask for 1024 by 768. I actually wanted."
I wanted a modern browser experience. I actually, there's you just mentioned something. I saw this news article yesterday that people who eat vegan should pay less at restaurants, which is a really interesting sort of concept, right? Because there was a study by Oxford University, and this is, for some reason, this is just coming up now. I didn't find out. We could probably find out a bit more about this, but there was a study by Oxford University that cooking vegan is about 1/3 of the cost due to the whole food requirement. Like, you're not having to get complex proteins and things like this. And so the argument was, well, vegans at restaurants should just get less food, like less cost, because the food costs less. The counter argument is that, well, yeah, but we're making 5,000 steaks. We're only making one, whatever. And we need to have a different menu and a different chef and a different stocking of food and all that sort of stuff for that menu item. So I guess that sort of balances it out. But then there's also the argument, should people that don't eat junk food pay less health insurance? And, all of this sort of stuff that starts carrying on from that, right?
That's
and I think there's a lot of merit in this. It's sure. But the problem is, how do you track the data? And how do you track a data in the way that someone's willing to put money on it? So are you willing to have your health insurance company monitor every meal that you eat?
Not every meal. When I go to Italy, I have a lot of gelato. It changes.
Yeah, right. So, that's an interesting segue. I don't know how we got there. David's 1024.
Well, it does make you wonder, are they not telling the vegans that they're using beef tallow as the actual fat to actually, which is very
cook the
expensive,
Brussels sprouts,
to cook the veggies.
Should people that eat healthy, or vegans, or I'm not saying vegan is healthy or not, I don't know, I'm not a doctor, but should people that eat healthy, let's just say, get a tax cut? Should they get?
Yeah, but you would have to track it for sure, because someone could be like, I'm on a diet this week.
Yeah, that's right. And then how do you get around that?
I wouldn't doubt
people
that
keep telling me people keep telling me to get into shape, right? And I go, well, what do you mean? Round's a shape.
But haven't you been doing like 5K runs every day?
Yeah, actually, if you've been following me on X, I should probably put this on LinkedIn, actually, because I'll probably get more traction. Yeah. But about a week and a half ago, I was out at my daughter's dress rehearsal for her ballet concert, as you do. And it was about 12 kilometers away from my house. And I had just been cooped up in my office all week. Like, I'd had a pretty intense week, lots of calls with America and Europe. So when you add those two things together, basically they're your sleep hours. Yeah, and I just needed some space, and I went, screw it, I'm just going to walk home. It took me 3.5 hours, and I walked from Randwick. If you know where that is in Sydney, I walked from Randwick to the other side of the inner west. And I got home and went, okay, yeah, I'm pretty tired now. My feet aren't doing great. And then I decided, you know what, screw it, I'm just going to walk 5K a day every day. And I've been doing that. So I either walk 5K or run 5K. So the other thing that I've been trying to do over the past couple of years is be able to jog 5K, right? Which is, a metric that every human should be able to do. And when I first started, I couldn't jog 60 seconds. Like, literally, I'd get to the end of 60 seconds and be doubled over in pain. Wow. And I thought that was an insurmountable goal. So then I started the Couch to 5K program, which is fantastic. It goes on your watch and it goes on your phone. And basically it walks you through a very set gradient from not being able to do anything all the way through to being able to jog for 30 minutes. And I got there and I got to be able to jog for 30 minutes. And look, I'll be honest, when I say jog, let's call it shuffling the feet quickly was sort of my end target. Yeah. So I got to the end of that and my feet would be moving slightly faster than a walk, but that's about it. I could probably walk faster than the jogging I was doing, but I did make it to the end of 30 minutes jogging, right? And then I sort of plateaued on that.
Would you say that that's like just a very optimistic form of walking?
Yes, let's call it optimistic walking. So then over the last couple of years, I'd been doing that more and more. And then I started doing park runs where you're running with, 400 people. And I got to, my best time was 37 minutes 24 for a 5K, which, it's not terrible. I was 200th out of 350 or something. And then I went, you know what? I'm going to get under 30K, but get under 30 minutes for 5K, but I just couldn't figure out a plan. So what I've done is I've restarted Couch to 5K. So I'm now starting Couch to 5K again from scratch, except this time when the little app in my ear goes run, I actually run. You know, I do a 6 or 7 minute mile pace sort of thing. You know, I sprint as fast as I can. So then as I build that up, I'll get to the 30K and I'll be able to do it under a 5K and I'll be able to do it in 30 minutes. But yeah, that's my current journey. So you only do Couch to 5K 3 days a week. And then the other days, on my rest days, I'm just walking 5K, which I don't know if that's what you meant to do. Which actually leads us straight into our next topic, which is Duolingo's unhinged marketing strategy.
God. Yeah, unhinged. But before we move on to that quickly, I think we should have a sweatband for you, a Store Connect
a sweatband, a Store Connect sweatband.
You have to, because it's all about branding.
Yeah, that's all. Everything's branding, Lindsay. That's right.
Exactly. Well, okay, Duolingo's branding.
Well, Nike are actually going to be dropping their sponsorship on me soon, so it's all good.
Oh, okay. Well, then we'll put a Store Connect.
David, just don't.
Duolingo's branding. David, I want to hear your viewpoint on this. The word unhinged is a very Gen Z word, and this is exactly what Duolingo is, because I signed up to Duolingo a year and a half ago. My partner is Swiss Italian.
So you were learning Chinese, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because of course. His family doesn't speak any English. So me being the life of the party, normally I have to be able to say some words. I want to fit in. So I started Duolingo. It's great, by the way. The platform is amazing, and it's very done on step-by-step, baby steps. Gives you, the illustrations, the story time. It's great. But their marketing is unhinged, meaning it's savage. It just throws the craziest insults to you, and you're a customer, right? So this specific story I wanted to bring up around their email marketing, because I receive emails from them probably once a week. Now that I live in Italy, for the last 3 or so months, I've kind of not really done many lessons. But I'll just give you some examples of the emails that I get. They're not super intense, but compared to other ones, you'll get an email that says, Jess, are you over learning Italian? Sorry to nag, ... And then one says, am I coming on too strong, Jess? Catch you later. Another one says, your Italian skills are getting moldy. Keep them fresh with a lesson.
And I like the one, taking a break. That's okay. We'll still keep your family.
Right? And this is now a known thing. People are doing TikTok and Reels on them because of how unhinged they are. And so I wanted to talk about the marketing of it, because you could easily kind of cross the line with this, but they don't stop. They say, okay, we've seen that you're not doing any lessons, so we'll give you a break, or we'll stop sending you this. No, they don't. I can attest to that. They do not. They keep sending you these emails probably once a week or once 2 weeks. So, David, I want to hear your thoughts, branding wise.
Well, I mean, the bottom line is that I think overall culturally, there's a carefulness that I think is settled in, whether it's to be politically correct or people being hypersensitive or a lot of different things that one kind of sees culturally, where you don't want to say anything that might alienate or possibly, and so that all of that carefulness has resulted in narrowing freshness and just being able to me, it's kind of like a great salesperson who can get away with pretty much saying anything to you or me if you know that they're in the right place and they've kind of just owned that, and it's a wonderful skill to see in action. It's a rare skill to see. Yeah. But for example, you take a brand that's wild, as you take Liquid Death, they are freaking out of their minds. Their narrative and their language and the stuff they say, we're going to murder your thirst or whatever like that. I mean, they're not scared to push the envelope, but they do it so unapologetically and without that little element of, we'll try and be funny and maybe interject something, but we're going to then bring it back really quickly. That tentativeness, I think we all innately reject tentativeness. And if you're going to go bold, go bold. You know, and if you're not alienating someone, be bold. I'd rather someone be bold and occasionally make me chuckle, give me something unexpected, because that's the other thing. With that carefulness, it aligns with giving a level of expected. One can go down the metric and you go, okay, yes, did it hit the button that we're looking for? Did it do this? Did it do that? But you look at all the analytical stuff, but it lacks any zest to get any of us excited. So it's those two things cannot coexist. It's like, are you going to be willing to have something that permeates, that gets someone's attention, that says, hey, you know what, we're here. We're not apologizing for being here. We freaking know our shit is good. We love what we do, and we know that it can actually benefit you. And we're not going to be soft pedaling it. If someone is offended by that, I'm like, good. They were never going to become a client anyway. And if they accidentally did, they would be a nightmare. So to me, it's actually a great way of sort of vetting out who is your community, who's your tribe, who are the people that share that joy and adventure and that sense of whimsy. And life isn't that serious, folks. I mean, come on, seriously. So I think those are some of the things that go into it. So I fully embrace it. I love it.
Yeah.
And I think you have to penetrate the noise, right? And this is something I think Store Connect could do a lot better at. We're already starting to produce shorts and we're starting to produce communications, but just as our own company, getting a little bit more punchy and a little bit more communicative along this line is something that I would love to see improve in our company. It's easy to say that, right? But how do you do it? And this is something for everyone, I think, to have a look at from a marketing customer commerce point of view. The noise out there is insane. Yeah. And the volume of noise is insane. You are as a brand opening the door in a hurricane and trying to talk to someone across the other side of the street in a normal voice. It's not going to work. You have to come out of your door holding the world's brightest flashlight shining against a reflective neon sign, screaming with a megaphone at the top of your lungs, something that is totally unexpected, like come out riding a donkey or something, to get any attention whatsoever, because the person on the other side of the street's hanging on for dear life in the hurricane, right? So why should they look at you? And I think there's a counter problem to this that might be philosophical or more of a societal one, is that everyone does that. And now everyone's got neon signs with donkeys. Like, maybe we need to take a step back. Maybe the next crazy brand in like 10 years will be the completely calm, bespoke, corporate speak brand. It's like, shit, no one does that. That's unreal. What are you doing? Like, there will be an inflection point, I'm sure. And it's actually interesting when you see some of the really high-end luxury brands, they do that, right? And they own that space because they're calming and they're quiet. And the latest Maybach, it's a very peaceful place to go to. They're providing a succor from the noise.
The strategy you just mentioned, actually, Kiehl's did that really, really, really well about 20 years ago. Kiehl's, I think it's Kiehls. They do like creams and essential oils and all kinds of things. And what they did is they went in right in the face of everyone going, oh, really, really high end, gorgeous, luxury, premium, and all this high end glitz. They went like the old apothecary, kind of like the stuff that you would see that would look like something that was formulated by, the labels were completely anti-brand. And it was just brilliant. And it looked more authentic and it looked more legitimate than anybody else. And it was a complete counterpunch. Everyone's going, and they just went, and you went, whoa.
That's true. I had a question because, like, Duolingo, I feel like they there's probably other brands that I don't know yet that are doing the same kind of, marketing. But in the last 5 years, we've gone into such a political correctness and say the right thing and include the right people and include the right things. And it's very like careful. And Duolingo have kind of gone a bit like, well, like what you were saying, David, like if we get people to hate us, all right, we'll take that, but we're going to be this. I wonder if business owners are too scared to, everyone's got a service to sell. And so if you've got someone that is eating too many apples and they want to stop eating apples, the business could easily be like, stop eating the freaking apples. Otherwise, you're going to die from eating so many apples. But that's might be too offensive, quote unquote.
But to that point, there's 1,000 ways, 1,000 flavors to being direct. One can be direct, as you've just done, or you could just say, "Hey, by the way," you could be informational, you could be inspirational, you could be confrontational, you could be you could be a form of entertainment that punches up, kind of like, like with comedy, you have everyone from Jerry Seinfeld to Ricky Gervais. There are very different styles of comedy with very different audiences. There are people that hate Ricky, and there are people that don't find Jerry funny. So it's just a matter of, so you take any layer of communication. I think one can disrupt in an appropriate way for a particular audience, gauged against, and this is probably the most important point, gauged against what is that space's kind of tendency, like knee-jerk reaction. If they all tend to be like, oh, we're going to be really, really careful and just make, moderate claims and moderate this and moderate that and kind of like da 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 da. If everyone's going to soft pedal and you can push it too far, and where people are going to go, well, that you're lying, or you can get in line. So that way you don't offend anybody, but you're also not going to attract hardly anybody. You're going to have to spend a lot of money to even get heard. So it's just paying attention and balancing all those variables. It's, to me, I love it, because especially when you have the opportunity to do it live, like, when we go to a show or something like that, because you see in real time, you say something and you're like, bam, that communication landed, that hit a nerve. And so it's just, it's something that in the world of AI that we live in, this is probably going to be the thing that's most threatened in that world. Is you've got to be keenly attentive. You've got to be keenly observant. You have to be willing to just look with no preconceived notions and just go, huh. I mean, that's when I just learn. So I love talking with people, because I'll say something and I'll see something happen in that other person's world, and they go, whoa, that just totally shifted how they even look and think about this topic. And that's exciting to see, and it's very educational.
But I guess, Michael, like it's work is involved in that, especially as a CEO, like you having to be with the
Well, you have to
clients
find someone you can trust to run it. That's the first thing. And that person needs to either embody your values or understand them so that they can communicate the way that you want the company to communicate. It's no point if you are, if you have certain views and certain ways that you want to run your business, and you get someone on team who's got a totally different opposite viewpoint, it won't come across as authentic. It'll come across as manufactured. And it doesn't matter what that viewpoint is. You could be, I'm not going to get into particular viewpoints because that's just a recipe for whatever. But I mean, there's just no point. You can't out-create the culture of your business with one person trying to be edgy on social, if that makes sense. Your company as a business needs to have a certain attitude and culture that your social media people can then epitomize and communicate. And if you don't have that, that's probably where you need to start. Like, what do you actually believe in as a CEO or a founder? What is it that you think the company stands for? And if you're the marketing person and you're trying to come up with content because you can't find it, the problem, I mean, it doesn't exclude the fact that you should still find content and create it. That's your job. You're getting paid for that. You should do it. But there probably is an underlying problem of, well, what does our company even believe in? Like, what is it we are doing? Because until you understand that, you have no position from which to view what's happening in current events that will allow you to formulate a response that's on brand or within the company's culture or zeitgeist, right? Give you examples. So Store Connect, say we didn't have customer commerce, say that we're not there for the customer relationship and building a real human connection, okay? So that's really what we stand for. We want to help our clients reach their customers and create that human customer connection that didn't exist or has been pushed aside recently for the transaction. So with that viewpoint, when Jess is looking at something on the internet and sees a communication from someone that contradicts that or mentions something about that, she's able to go, we could reply with this angle on the customer commerce with the attitude that we've got, which in our Slack channels and everything is actually quite playful, where we're very much a team of high-performing individuals that are getting a job done and communicate a lot. So she can actually communicate with that on a line, right? But if customer commerce didn't exist, if Store Connect was simply just an e-commerce product and that's all it was, and there wasn't really any life to it and no livingness and no attitude and no viewpoint, then Jess sees an article and her only response becomes, well, I mean, if they were using Store Connect, then that might have been easier. It just completely doesn't land because there's no strong foundation from which to communicate from. And I think this is, when you're looking at a brand, we had this problem in Store Connect for a long time. It's just like, what are we? And we're an e-commerce product and content management system and a rewards and loyalty and a point of sale platform and shipping and inventory and multi-store and multi-currency and different payment providers in different regions and all of this sort of stuff. It's almost a massive shopping cart list of what it is we can do, but what are we? And until you know what you are and where you stand, what comes before what is where, where do we stand in this environment, orient ourselves, what do we do here, what are we doing, why are we doing it, then how, and you can start building out along that line. Until you've got that foundational section, it's going to be very hard to manufacture any marketing or branding communication that will land with anyone, because they're going to be like, well, I'm confused. I don't get it. I mean, this goes straight into the next story we've got, actually, which is the men's grooming thing. This guy, Beard Brand, he did a tweet that goes, or their company did a tweet, which I'm going to shamelessly copy with Store Connect. Not the content, but what it's communicating. He says, I'm not out here selling products. I'm building a brand and a lifestyle. We have the task of educating customers on how to grow and take care of their beard. Eric, founder of Beard Brand. And he's got our guiding statements, the vision statements to change the way society views bearded men or beardsmen, and the mission statement to foster confidence through grooming. This is a really interesting communication. He's selling stuff about beards. David, you know more about this than both of us.
But can I quickly add how it started? It was founded in 2012. And Eric was working at a corporate bank and he couldn't grow a beard. So he quit and built that company.
Beard Brand. Nice. Yeah. And it's interesting, in that mission statement or in that communication, he calls it out specifically. We're not selling products. Like, this is the ultimate customer commerce communication, right? We're not selling products. We're trying to build a relationship with people that really want to do what we can help them do. And not only that, he hasn't called them men who want to grow beards. He's called them beardsmen, right? So he's come up with a whole name of a category of people, which is amazing. But that gives them a position and a communication point and a way to talk out to the world. I mean, David, yeah, I've been rambling. What do you think?
Well, I mean, every man with facial hair, and I am guilty of having that. For those that are only listening to this, they basically, it's like having like a lovely garden, and you have to know how to properly water it and have the fertilizer and to take care of it and manicure it and all that kind of stuff. So that way, when people come by, they go, "What a lovely place to visit." And so that's basically my approach to Beardsmanship.
I'll remember to say that next time I see you online.
What a lovely place to visit. Just make sure his wife's not around.
Yeah,
I
no.
think the whole viewpoint here is having that, you've got to have a position. I mean, this has been stored into the last 3 stories we've spoken about. Duolingo's position is that they know what you want, which is being able to learn Italian.
Yeah.
And they're willing to push you to get there and insult you to get there. Army boot camp. Beardsmen know that their group of men that are trying to grow beards, assumedly. I mean, I guess there might be some women out there that are trying to do it, but they have a specific problem and that they want to communicate. And they're not about selling products. They're about educating and treating them. And they will get the sale on top of that, just by default.
Yeah, I mean, their wording is very confident as well. Like, they definitely own it. They're more recognized as beard experts. The word expert, I think, really, for me, sells me. If someone says, like, oh, they're a skin expert, or, like, someone that is so, like, has that expertise in that one area, I'm more likely to go, bang, you've got me. I want to know, like, instantly I'm kind of converted.
But the one thing you'll see with these is that they're not half in, half out. They're not kind of like, we can all feel and sense tentativeness, and it's so much better. The downside of stating something with conviction, even if you're a little off, the downside is way downside. The upside is incredible. The downside is very little when you compare it against, let's do something that's sort of safe, middle ground, not quite owning anything. And it's just that element of conviction. It's like, we've all seen it. We've seen it in interpersonal relationships. We've seen it on one-on-one salesmanship. We've seen it on brands that communicate and emails that are shameless. It's like, I had an event, a live event. And one of the things the last weekend I had a live event. And one of the things at the end of the day one, person came up to me and they said, how is it you're able to, like, insult people and they never get offended? And I said, well, I'm not actually insulting them. I'm pointing out something. We have a common objective. They've asked for my expertise, and they know going in, I'm pulling no punches. And I'm going to say, look, here's the thing. I know you're smarter than this. Here's the problem here. And bang. And I just pointed out, and all of a sudden we are looking together at the thing. It's not me against them. It's me against them putting out something that is less than what they can do. And he goes, because he was laughing his head off. He goes, if I said that to people, he goes, they'd probably be offended and walk out of the room. And I said, well, that's just, can you own your conviction? That was the question. Can you own your conviction and know that you really have the intent to better the individual in front of you? And people feel that, and people love that. And it was just, people love that, because I think that that's a very rare quality. And I think it's a very rare quality in brands, in just companies in general. And when you come across it, it sticks out in a good way.
Yeah, it's like people can smell the intention, I think, more so now.
Intention has a fragrance. And what I'm going to do after this episode, I'm actually going to bottle it and sell it for the holidays.
The intention.
All right, I'll look forward
fragrance.
to buying it on Black Friday sales.
It has to be called Intend.
Intend. I can't wait for the
new fragrance from
commercial.
Briar.
Conviction you can sell.
All right, gentlemen, well, that wraps up.
Conviction's actually just a horrible smell that gets you moving.
Yep. Doesn't have a good ring to it. We're going to wrap up with intention as the fragrance. And we'll see you guys next week for some more topics, trends, discussions, tips and tricks. All right?
Awesome.
Have a great week.
Awesome.
Thanks all.
Thanks for joining us today. We hope you had an awesome time, leaving you with ideas on how to improve your business and wow customers. If you'd like to leave a real customer's story, head to the link in our show notes and cuss away. Love the show? Please subscribe and leave a review, because that enables us to help more businesses in building real relationships with customers and grow more rapidly. See you next time.